Okay, so I will read out the shloka, then I can call out the names. Maybe they can repeat the shloka after me, and also the translation. So we are reading from the third canto, the 21st chapter, 18th verse until 21. The conversation between Manu and Kardama Muni. न तेजरक्षा भ्रमिरायुरेषां त्रयोदशारां त्रिशतं शास्ति पर्व सनेमनन्था च दियत्रिनाभि करालश्रोतो जगदच्चिद्याधवत्. Can I request Divya Mataji to kindly recite?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. न तेजराक्ष ब्रह्मिरायुरेषां त्रयोदशारां त्रिशतं षष्टि पर्व षष्णेम्यनन्तपदीयत्रिनाभि कराल स्रोतो जगदाचिद्यदावत्. Hare Krishna
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Mataji. I can see one Mataji's hand, but I don't know the name because I can't see the name here. Yeah, Vasudha Mataji. Vasudha Mataji, you can read the translation for us.
Thank you. Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Your wheel, which has 3 naves, rotates around the axis of the imperishable Brahman. It has 13 spokes, 360 joints, 6 rims, and numberless leaves carved upon it. Though its revolution cuts short the lifespan of the entire creation, this wheel of tremendous velocity cannot touch the lifespan of the devotees of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, thank you, Nupur Mataji, for inviting me, for giving me this opportunity. So, always quite pleased and humbled to be amongst all of you after a very long time. I think it's almost a gap of maybe 4 months. I've been constantly traveling all these days. So that was one of the reasons why I couldn't participate. So sorry about that, Nupur Mataji. You made so many requests, but I couldn't. I couldn't find time. So sorry about that. So thank you once again, and it's always a pleasure and purifying conducting class in ICF. Thank you so much. Okay, so we begin. This is the chapter where Kardama Muni is actually offering his praise to the Lord. And in the course of his praise, he is describing the characteristics of the creation. So that's what we are going to be touching upon between the verse 18 and 21. So one interesting fact that we note, if we touch upon the purport, very clearly how Srila Prabhupada is so nicely briefing out, the sections. So one point that I want you all to note and inscribe that in your mind when we again touch upon the verse number 20, is that Kardama Muni, rather 21, where Kardama Muni is actually undergoing penance for 10,000 years. And upon completion of his penance, he takes, the Lord gives darshan to him. Now, the interesting fact to know is when he takes darshan, he has a desire. And what is that desire? To have a nice wife. So just keep this in mind, just park this in your mind, and let's again touch upon this when we come to shloka number 20 and 21. So Kardama Muni is actually, the moment he sees the Lord and he starts glorifying. Yeah. In fact, in most of the chapters, whenever devotees encounter the Lord, they're all glorifying. I was recently reading from the 10th canto, 16th chapter, where the Nagapatnis are glorifying Krishna. So, what a beautiful prayer. Namastibhyam Bhagavate Purushaya Mahatmane Bhutavasaya Bhutaya Paraya Paramatmane. So beautifully, they are glorifying. So every devotee, whenever they see Lord, they remember the Lord, they glorify. So glorification of the Lord is a must. That's what we learn from Shrimad Bhagavatam. So here in this verse, Kardama Muni is giving an analogy. So how do we glorify the Lord? So we glorify the Lord by by describing that how great he is. So there is no limit to his greatness, isn't it? So we correlate with his creation. So that's what Kardama Muni is doing. So he's giving an analogy that how the six realms are representing the sixth season. Then he's saying the 13 spokes, which is as per the Vedic astronomical calculations, are the 13 months. While we all understand the 12 months, yeah, what is the 13th month? 13th month is called the Adi Masa or the Manamas, yeah, which we all follow every 3 years, right? At the end of every 3 years, we follow the Adi Mas. But the most interesting thing to know is with each sunrise and the sunset, yeah, the living entities are actually progressing towards death. So the moment sun rises and the sun set, that means one day is over. So the moment one day is over, that means one day we are closer to the death. This is the fact, and this is what we need to understand. And this is what Kardama Muni is trying to, explain. And this is what we will find in the purport also with Srila Prabhupada is beautifully explaining. So we all understand that the sun is the most important function of this creation. Yeah. So without the sun or the sunshine, the life of this planet will be quite miserable, which we know. And of course, all of us would have studied during our school days that how the sun is responsible for this weather that we experience. Yeah, every season there are different weathers. Then the ocean current happens because of the sun, the various season and the climate. It also helps the photosynthesis, isn't it, that we have learned. Now, without the heat of the sun, the life on the earth would actually not exist. So we understand that how the sun is the most important factor in everyone's life. Now, I remember, in some part of the US, uh, during the winter's time, you don't even get sunshine. And without the sunshine, the life is so depressing. Once I happened to go and meet my son, he was in Indianapolis. So, and that was in the month of November. So, and, going from a desert place to a place where there's no sunshine, just imagine how one would feel. I was feeling so depressed. I mean, I was there for almost a week and, I couldn't stay there long. I said, I'm going back because it was so depressing. So just imagine how important the sun is. So people who experience sun on a day-to-day life, they can't live without that. And people who stay in a place where, they hardly find any sunshine, they are so desperate to, come to the place like this where we are to experience the sunshine, the sunlight. In fact, many tourists who come, to Middle East, they say the only reason why we come here is to take the sunlight. So in the chapter 15, in the Bhagavad Gita, in Bhagavad Gita chapter 15.6, the Lord says, "Nathad bhashayate suryo na shashanko na pavaka yad gatva na nivartante tad damam paramam mama." So he says that the supreme abode of mind, there is no illumination of sun or moon or by fire or the electricity. And he says a very important point that whoever comes there does not return to the material world. Na tad bhashyate suryo. Yad gantwana nivartante tad damam paramam mama. So in the spiritual sky, what we understand from this verse is in the spiritual sky, there is no need of sunshine. No moonshine is required. There is no need of fire or electricity. Why? Because all the planets are self-illuminatory. Now, the only planet in this universe where we are Only the sun planet is self-illuminous. That's why we are so dependent on the sun. But in the spiritual world, all the planets are self-illuminous. That's what Srila Prabhupada states. So the living entity in the spiritual world actually does not depend on the sun for existence, unlike the material worlds. So we in this material world, we are so dependent for the sun. In fact, when Srila Prabhupada was distributing the books, Journey to the Other Planets, in Jhansi, so he used to stand on a street and he would distribute. So one of the person, approached him. He said, "What is this book?" So Srila Prabhupada said, "This book will take you to the other planet, to the spiritual planet." So he said, "Yeah, quite interesting." So he said, after reading, what will happen? He said, "No, you will go to that planet." So then he's asking, "So if I go to that planet, will I able to come back?" Prabhupada said, "No, you cannot come back. Yat katva na nivartante." Then he said, "No, then I'm not interested. I want to come back to Jhansi." So, this is the understanding. But that is not the goal of life. Goal of life is to go back to Godhead in the spiritual world where Krishna is there. Yeah. So as we progress towards the purpose, Prabhupada states that one can be saved from the greatest danger of the living entity by performing a little devotional service. Yeah, love matra, little devotional service. Now, we need to understand that what is the greatest danger. Now, greatest danger is actually quite subjective. Yeah, it will differ from person to person. For some, the greatest danger would be the loss of a job. For some, it will be, loss of a husband, loss of a parent, loss of so many other things. So it would differ because it's quite subjective. But that is not the thing. The universal danger is actually to fall from this human form of life. Yeah. So with great tapasya, with great penance that we have all done, or some good activity that we have done, we have got this human form of life. So falling from this human life is one of the greatest danger. And we have to protect this life, the current existing life. And only if we protect them, how do we protect? By performing devotional service. Only then we can ensure that we get promoted into the spiritual world. Yeah. So that's why in the verse it says that for the devotee, the time span doesn't affect. Yeah. For with every passing day and night, it doesn't affect the devotee at all. So what we do is we have to engage in a devotional service. So by engaging in devotional service, what happens? We get promoted to the spiritual world, and which is only possible only if we do a devotional service towards the Lord. Can we get on with the next sloka? The 19th shloka. Eka swayam chan jagata sisrikakshya द्वितीयतात्मान अधियोगमायया सृजस्यादा पशिपून ग्रस्यसे यतोर्नाभिर्भगवान् स्वशक्तिभिः. Can I request Sudha Mataji to read the shloka, please, for us?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, pranams.
Thanks.
एकस्वयं सन् जगतः सिरिक्षया द्वितीयात्मन्नधियोगमायया सृजस्य दपासि पुनर्ग्रशिष्यसे यतो ननाभिर्भगवन् स्वशक्तिभिः. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Can I request Shanti Mataji to read out the translation for us?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Lord, you alone create the universes. O personality of Godhead, desiring to create these universes, you create them, maintain them, and again wind them up by your own energies, which are under the control of your second energy called Yoga Maya. Just as a spider creates a cobweb by its own energy and again winds it up. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So here Prabhupada is touching upon the theory of impersonalism and how we worship the person form of the Lord. And also from this verse, we understand that this creation is not formed out of a big bang. Yeah, that's what we have learned, right? In our education, in our school, that this creation was formed, when there was a big bang, and how this beautiful creation has taken place. In fact, the big bang can cause only havoc and destruction. Now, recently, I believe in Bangalore, there was some bang which had happened, bomb blast, right? So, because the bomb blast happened, we did not see any beautiful creation that took place. It was only destruction. Some people got injured. Yeah. So similarly, any destruction that happens, any big bang that happens, yeah, it's only destruction. And if you see this creation, it is so precise, so beautifully arranged. Now, if you see the planets that are being placed in every orbit, yeah, it's so perfectly, going around circles in its perfect orbit, not even a centimeter there and here. Yeah, and we don't come across that. Okay, by mistake, the one of the planets has got crashing into some other planet. We have never come across that news till now. It will never happen. Just imagine 1 centimeter of sun coming closer to the earth. We will not be able to withstand the heat. Similarly, 1 centimeter going backward, we will not be able to withstand the cold. So that's how the way it is precisely created. That means there is someone who has arranged it, who has created this in a perfect manner. So there is a controller. And who's that controller? It is Krishna. Yeah. So everything, all this creation, everything has been created in a perfect manner. Yeah. So there are no mistakes. Yeah, just like how we say, one day, one big bang has happened, and this beautiful creation has taken place. Yeah. If we happen to create anything, obviously there will be so many flaws. Yeah. So on the other day, there was the Baltimore bridge came crashing down, isn't it? Because there was some issues with the container ship. They couldn't see something, and the whole bridge came crashing down. Yeah, to err is a woman, isn't it? That's what we read. So that's the nature of the human being. But when it comes to the Lord, there is no question of any error. Yeah, everything is so perfectly created. The entire creation is created so perfectly, and that creation cannot happen out of Big Bang. Now, the material world is actually created by God. Yeah. Now, in the subsequent verse, we understand that how God does not create this material world willingly. Yeah, he actually it is his energy which creates this material world. Why? Because we, the living entity, we want to enjoy this material world. And that is the reason why this material world has been created. Now, we understand a very good, in the shloka, a very good analogy is given about the spider, that how this spider creates the cobweb, out of its saliva. Now, because the cobweb has been created by the saliva of the spider, it does not make the spider impersonal. Yeah, the cobweb is there, the spider is also there, and then the moment the purpose of that cobweb is over, the spider will come. It will eat up the insect that it has captured, and it will clear off the cobweb as well. So similarly, the Lord, he creates this material world, and when the purpose is over, it gets annihilated, and again it recreates. But that does not make the Lord impersonal. And we personally, the devotees of the Lord, we don't believe in impersonal worship. So Prabhupada is beautifully, explained in the purport that God is sentient. You can see this word here, sentient. Now, what is sentient? Sentient means it's always responsive. Yeah. So if someone wants to experience, how God is responsive, then one needs to pray the Lord, which is a natural phenomena of every living entity. And the moment we go and stand in front of a Archa Vigraha, what is a natural expression? We fold our hands and we pray, isn't it? We fold our hands, we close our eyes, and then we start praying. So when we close our eyes, we are actually experiencing the image of the Lord within our heart. And then we are sincerely praying. And the moment we start praying, then there is an interaction between us and the Lord. And then, there is a response that happens. That's what Prabhupada is stating here, that God is sentient, which does not happen if it's impersonal. Of course, impersonal feature is also one of the feature of the Lord. But then there is no loving reciprocation with the impersonal feature of the Lord. Ishvara Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So when we pray to God, so what happens? God responds. And then he reacts by fulfilling our desires. So what happens? So therefore, all the acharyas, all the previous acharyas and the great devotees, they have created such a beautiful temples. Why they have created this temple? So that we visit so that God sees us. We stand in front of the Lord, and then God can see us, and then he can give us blessings. But then only this can happen if we consider God as person, isn't it? And not impersonal. And when we go to the temple, the purpose of going to the temple is one, what I said is so that God can see us. And there is so many spiritual activity that is taking place. In fact, last month I was in Mayapur. So I happened to meet a devotee who shifted from Dubai and relocated to Mayapur for full-time basis. So I was thinking maybe, he shifted to Mayapur because he wanted to take an early retirement and then spend his retired life and, maybe do some spiritual activity and then, have a peaceful life. So I was just checking with him that, Prabhu, how is it going? What is the difference that you're encountering? Very interestingly, he said, Prabhu, 24/7 spiritual activity. I said, yeah, but how is it possible 25/7? You would also be sleeping, isn't it? He said, yeah, sleeping is there. But right from morning, the moment you start waking up, there is no time, even for a second, for any material activity. That means our acharyas, our predecessors, they are given so much of knowledge, so much of facility to cultivate our spiritual life. I remember an episode where His Holiness Dhanvir Goswami Maharaj had visited Israel to do some preaching. And during that particular episode, the war took place. So the rule of Israel is, when if at all there is a war, so whichever citizens are present, they all need to participate in the war. So even Maharaj was, called out. So even he was taken, and he was requested to fight for the country. So the army came and took him away. Now they were all placed in the camp, and Maharaj, as usual, took all his paraphernalia, all the books for the arti, all the paraphernalia he took, and he was placed in one room, and there were other people who were placed on the other room. Of course, there was a barricade in between. So Maharaj uh, would wake up, do his spiritual activities. So the people who were besides him, they went and complained the commander that you took us so that we will fight for the war, and you also asked this person to fight for the war. But what we are saying is full time is in the room and not coming for the war at all. So isn't this injustice? So the commander took note of the complaint, and then went and approached Maharaj. And he asked Maharaj that, why are you not participating in the war? He said, I'm not getting time at all. What to do? He said, but what are your activities? So he said, see, morning I have to wake up 3 o'clock. After waking up, I have to wake up the Lord. After waking up, I need to bathe the Lord. After bathing, I need to perform arti. Then after performing arti, since nobody is there, so I have to sing. I have to myself sing, and then after doing that, I have to cook boga for the Lord. Because after cooking boga, I have to offer, and then after offering, since no one is there, I have to honor it. Then it's morning time, so obviously I have to read Shrimad Bhagavatam. So this itself takes away all the time. Then I have to chant my 16 rounds. And then he was saying, after completing all this, then it is a time for afternoon arti. So when he was explaining, the commander was, scratching his head. He said, yeah, obviously he doesn't have time. So somehow, with mercy of the Lord, they did not let Maharaj do anything. And, they asked Maharaj to continue what he was doing. And then the people who were next to him, they objected. He said, see, this person is so dedicatedly doing his work. Let him do. In fact, even if I give you free time, what are you going to do? Because they're all impersonal worshipper. What are you going to do maximum? Yeah, pray 5 times just for 5 minutes. Beyond that, what? But look at this person. So I just remembered this particular instance, that how personal worships, of the Lord, engages in the personal service of the Lord. Can we get on with the next sloka? (21.20) नैतद्बतादीश पदां तवेऽपि सीता यन्मायया नास्तनुसे भूतसूक्ष्माम् अनुग्रहायास्तव अपि यारिमाया लसत्तुलस्या भगवान् विलक्षिताः. Sorry. Okay. Anushuya Mataji, can you please read out the shloka?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, pranams. नैतद्बतादीशपदं तवेप्सितं यन्मायया नस्तनुषे भूतसूक्ष्मम् अनुग्रहायास्त्वपयर्हि मायया लसत्तुलस्या भगवान् विलिक्षितः. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Can I request Sarvanan Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Pranam.
Sorry, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Can you please read the translation for us?
Translation by A.C. Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Lord, although it is not your desire, you manifest this creation of gross and subtle elements just for our sensual satisfaction. Let your causeless mercy be upon us, for you have appeared before us in your eternal form, adorned with the splendid wreath of tulasi leaves. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. A very important verse for us to understand. So, my dear Lord, although it is not your desire, you manifest this creation of gross and subtle elements just for our sensual satisfaction. Let your causeless mercy be upon us, for you have appeared before us in your eternal form, adorned with splendid wreath of tulsi leaves. So Prabhupada has so beautifully explained this purport. And we as a living entity, we have to understand, I mean, this particular purport, if we read, so it gives us the real understanding of, why we are suffering in this material world, as to how we have got separated from the Lord. And more than us, it is Lord who wants us back to Him. He's desiring more than us that we should come back to Him. So this purport, if we read and understand so beautifully, Prabhupada has explained this. So Prabhupada states that it is clearly stated here that the material world is not created by the personal will of the Supreme Lord. Yeah. So the Lord doesn't want to create this material world. His energy does. Yeah. Now, why this material world has been created? Because we living entity, we wanted to enjoy. Yeah. We wanted to enjoy separately from the Lord. And that's why this has been created. Now, in India, it's an election time. So we see that every politician, yeah, is propagating, yeah, and how he is going to bring out some change in the country, yeah, by say development. So some of them will say, they will give out their list of achievements that, I have achieved this, I have done this, I have done so many accomplishments. They will list down. And the one who is not in the power, they will say, if we come to power, we are going to accomplish so many things. So they keep telling, right, accomplishment. Now, if you notice, in none of the developments, what they would have mentioned, they would never ever say that, in my achievement, I have built so many prison house. Nor they will say that during our period, we have, renovated so many prison house. Earlier, the capacity was only 300. Now that prison house can cover, say, 1,000 prisoners. Have we ever heard any of the politicians saying like that? No. Because the government does not will to create a prison house. The government doesn't want to. But it has to be done. To maintain the peace in the society, the prison house is a must. So similarly, this material world, yeah, has been created for us to realize that this is not the right place for us to live. Now, we take birth here, yeah, we enjoy here, and we get so entangled in the enjoyment that we forget the goal of life. We forget the purpose, the very purpose as to why we have taken birth in this world. And we get so attached with the belongings that we have. We get so attached with every person that we deal with. We get so attached with this body itself. And then separation becomes, I mean, I remember just few years back, there was one diabetic patient, very rich. Now, the diabetic was so severe that he got gangrene into his feet, so it had to be amputated. Now he's saying, you take as much money as you want, but please save my leg. So just imagine we are so attached to, I'm not saying that, that is correct, but I'm saying that we get so attached that it becomes inseparable. We cannot separate ourselves from this body. So at the time of death, it becomes so difficult to come out of this body. And that's why it states that the experience of death is like 44,000 scorpions biting at the same time. That is the pain that we encounter when we leave from this body, because we would have enjoyed this body for so long, for so many years. We would have enjoyed being with our wife, being with our husband, being with our mother, being with our father, yeah? Then enjoying the corporate life, enjoying all the material opulences that we have, experienced. So living all of that, forget that. Living in even our body, we know that we're going to leave our body. So that experience is going to be very, very, very tough. Therefore, all our acharyas say that we need to understand that we are not this body. We are a soul. We have come with a purpose in this material world. And that's why the education of this Krishna consciousness is the most important thing in our life. And all of us who we are present, 56 participants are there. So fortunate enough, we have to consider we are so fortunate that due to the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have got this knowledge. And at any point in time, we should not miss this. This is the last bus. If we miss this, it's gone. We don't know when is the next opportunity we're going to get this. Punarapi Janmam, Punarapi Manam. We'll get entangled into this life. So our purpose should be we have to break that cycle. Just one aim, one mission. Go back home, go back to Godhead. Krishna did not want to create this material world at all. Yeah. Because we are like those, mischievous children who do not want to abide by the parents' instruction. So what happens? Because the child is so mischievous and is crying all the time. No, 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 I want to do this. You would have seen sometimes the children are crying. I don't know if any participants are there from America. Of course, now is the sleeping time there. In America, there is a rule that, the parents are not supposed to raise their hands onto the children, especially when they are young. So there was a parent, Indian parent. So the child knew that the moment they will raise their hand, what the child will do, he will go and stand near the telephone, because he has to just dial one number and, the police will come. So the moment the father will get angry, the child will go and stand near the telephone. So the father was so frustrated. So, then they came on a vacation to India. So the moment they came, the vacation, the child was so mischievous. The child didn't realize that in India, there is no such rule. So just imagine what would have happened. Yeah. The father would have taken all his frustration of so many years, at one time itself. So similar is our situation. Yeah. We are so mischievous. Yeah, we wanted to enjoy separately from the Lord. So Lord said, okay, no problem. Go. I'll create a separate, place for you. Sit there, enjoy, create family, enjoy. But remember, that enjoyment is not forever. Yeah. One day, you will have to remember me. And that day when you remember me, I will come. Sometimes we sit for prasad, right? So, as long as we sit in a line, and there would be one Prabhuji who would keep, distributing prasad. So as long as, the prasad keeps falling in our plate, we are fine. And then before we start, honoring our prasad, what we do, we see on our left and right, what is in the other person's plate. Has maybe, one laddu has not come into my plate. And when that does not come, that is a time we look at the person who is actually serving. Otherwise, till the time our head is down, we keep, eating. So the moment anything that falls short in our life, that is the time when we start remembering the Lord. Oh Lord, looks like you forgot to give me this. No. But he will create a situation in such a way that we have to remember him. And that day will come. Yeah. That's why we have so many hospitals, isn't it? So many hospitals. And in every hospital, we have a temple. Yeah. And, you know, when in the temple, people become so religious. And when the problem gets resolved, they forget. So, as I was saying, Krishna did not want to create this material world. Yeah. Now, Krishna is always blissful by nature. Krishna is always blissful. And we, being his part and parcel, should also be blissful. But because we are influenced by the three modes of material nature, we cannot remain happy or blissful all the time. Yeah. We can be happy for some time and then again we go back. Yeah. How many of us here can say that, we are eternally happy or we are eternally blissful? I remember His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu was giving an example that one of the devotees took up a new house and he had invited him to inaugurate. So Prabhu was saying, very nice house. So looks like you're very happy. So he said, yeah, Prabhuji, the house was very nice. Ultimately we found our happiness. We are so grateful. Everything is good. Then he said, but. He said, what? So the moment he said, we are very happy, Prabhu was thinking, oh, but in Bhagavad Gita says that people cannot be happy. Dukkhalam ashashvatam. How come they are saying very happy? The moment that person said, but, he said, yeah, yes. He said, but the mosquitoes in the night. The moment you keep the windows open, a lot of mosquitoes. So one can be happy for some time, but not, continuously. Samsrita ye pada pallava plavam mahat padam punya yasho murare bhavam budir vatsa padam param padam yak vipadam natesham. So this ocean of the material world is like a water, contained in a calf's hoof print. So for the devotees, this material ocean, which is a problematic thing, the ocean becomes like a calf's footprint for the devotees. Now, for the devotees, this material world doesn't affect, as what we have understood from the 18th verse also. The time spent doesn't impact them. Yeah, the material world, the miseries of this material world does not impact them as well. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he is stating that one is the Lord unwillingly creates this material world. Okay. But what he does, he also descends. The Lord descends himself sometimes, or he is sending his representative to do what? To give instruction, yeah, to encourage, just like, Srila Prabhupada, classic example. He came because he was there. We all have got an opportunity to understand. We were not knowing, right? We were not knowing who Krishna is. I never heard Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's only when I got associated with Krishna consciousness or Hare Krishna movement, I got to know what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In fact, many people, even in Bengal, doesn't know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What to talk about, people who are outside Bengal. So that's the mercy. So the Lord sends his representative. Sometimes he descends, yeah, to do paritrana and sadhuna, or sometimes he sends his representative, yeah, side by side, to make one understand that we are not meant to live in this material world, but to leave this material world. So there's a difference between LIVE and LEAVE. So we are meant to LEAVE this material world and not to LIVE in this material world. This is what we need to understand. And the ultimate purpose is to go back home, back to Godhead. So that's why the Lord, in the final verse, of the Bhagavad Gita, in the final chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Sarva dharmam paritaje mam ekam sharanam aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami mam suchaha. Very, very important. He said, just surrender unto me. Yeah, I will eradicate all your papas. But what is the prerequisite? Surrender unto me. Surrender is very important. And that too sincere surrender, not surrender when we are in problem. Problem will be there in life. But we have to have a sincere surrender mood, sincerely surrendering towards the Lord. The moment we surrender to the Lord, that's when the Lord will reciprocate. And He guarantees. Yeah, He guarantees. Not like the warranty that we read whenever we buy some equipments. Then they will say, no, there is a disclaimer you did not read. Yeah, insurance company, you'll say, first of all, they'll say, okay, we insure you, but have you read out the disclaimers? And when we actually go and, approach them for claim of insurance, then we realize what we are actually getting. We feel cheated. But here, the Lord does not cheat. The Lord's instruction or commitment is like, writing on the rock. No one can erase that. When the Lord says, I will eradicate all your papas, but you have to surrender. Hare Krishna. Let's go on with the next verse. Tam tvanubhutyo parata kriyartam swamayaya vartita lokatantram namamya bhikshanam naminiya pada sorojamalpiyasi kama varsham. Can I request Medhavini Sakhi Devidasi Mataji to read out the shloka for us?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat pranams. Tam tvanubhutyo bharatakriyaartham swamayaya vartita lokatantram namamyabhikshnam namaniyapada sarojamalpiyasi kamavarsham. Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavat pranams.
Thank you, Mataji. Navakishore Mataji, can you please read out the translation for us?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam. Thank you.
Pranam.
I translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I continuously offer my respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet, of which it is worthy to take shelter, because you shower all benediction on the insignificants, to give all living entities a detachment from fruitive activity. By realizing you have expanded this material world by your own energy. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So now, if we correlate this shloka, initially when I started, I had mentioned that Kardama Muni, he had a material desire. And because of that material desire, of course, even Lord had the same desire. This is Kardama Muni's material desire was he needs to get a nice wife. And that was also the desire of the Lord. Yeah. So why I said park this particular thing is because even if one has a material desire, one needs to approach God. So if we have material desires, we did not approach demigods. Yeah. So in the shloka, Bhagavad Gita 7.22, the Lord says, what is that shloka? Labate cha tata kaman mayavi vihitantan. I forgot the initial one. So he says that if anyone who has a faith, and if he endeavors to worship a particular demigod, and then when he obtains that desire, that is actually the benefit. That is actually a benefit that has been bestowed by me alone. The Lord said, which is actually given by me, which means He sanctions. So whatever desire one has, and then when he approaches a demigod to fulfill that desire, but unless and until that is not approved, one cannot get that. Similar, just like someone who is working in a in a company or in an organization, he will approach a finance for taking some loan. Now the finance person does not have an authority to approve it. He will have to get it approved by the CEO or whoever is senior to him. Till the time that person does not approve, this person cannot give. And then we cannot keep on worshipping this finance person. Oh, you are God, you are the supreme because you fulfill my desire. No, that is a wrong understanding. The actual person is someone else who is sitting above him. So Krishna is actually very, very merciful, even to the one who does not believe in devotional service of the Lord. Yeah. So there are so many people, like, for example, if you go to any demigod, worshipping temple, people who are worshiping, so much of crowd. Yeah. But when we go to our compare it with our ISKCON temple, yeah, not that much of crowd, isn't it? Why? Prabhupada was giving a classic example that if you happen to go in a market, say huge market. Now within the market, that market will be so crowded, but within that market you will also have a diamond shop. But within that diamond shop, you will hardly find any people, isn't it? Why? Because this needs to be there. The currency needs to be there. So only a people who can afford can go to the diamond shops. Similarly, only a people who has got this blessings, who has got this knowledge, who's got the mercy from the previous acharyas, yeah, by serving the devotees, they get an opportunity to serve the Lord. So even if someone has a material desire, still Krishna fulfills that desire. So just imagine how merciful the Lord is. Now, I remember an episode of Dhruv Maharaj. I don't know if we have time to. Mataji, 5 more minutes. Is that okay? Nupur Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Fine, Prabhu.
Yeah. So we all know the episode of Dhruv Maharaj. So now Dhruv Maharaj underwent the penance. Now he underwent 6 months of severe penance, so severe, that the Lord finally appeared. And when the Lord appeared, in front of him. Now, first of all, why did he do the penance? Because he was insulted by his stepmother. And then he was so hurt that he wanted the same material opulence that Brahma had. Why? Because he wanted to show his stepmother. And when the Lord appeared, what happened? Sthana bilashi tapasi stitoham tvam praptavan deva munindra guhyam kacham vichinvan api divya ratnam swamin kritartosmi varam nayache. He said, I wanted this material position that I was seeking by doing all this penance. Yeah. Now I have got you. You're even the greatest of the demigods, yeah, greatest of the saintly person. They do severe penances, but so difficult even for them to get. And it was, I was searching for pieces of glasses, but because I found you, the most valuable jewel, now I'm satisfied. Yeah, I don't want any other benediction. But what did the Lord do? The Lord not only gave him the benediction that he actually desired initially. Yeah. In fact, he did not wanted the benediction. In fact, the moment he saw the Lord, he was so confused. The Lord had to place the Shanka, yeah, the Shanka on his head. And then he came back to his senses. And then he started reciting this prayer. And then he said, I don't want any benediction. Now I got you. More than enough. I'm so satisfied. Lord said, no, you did this penance, you have to get it. And that's how we have this, the Dhruv planet. So, dear devotees, even if we have material desire, yeah, the ultimate purpose is to approach the Lord, just like by watering the root, yeah, the whole we need not approach each and every the branch and the leaves. That's not required. So Prabhupada is stating that unless one is disgusted with the enjoyment of this material world, he cannot aspire for liberation. So one needs to be disgusted. Now, how can we get disgusted? It's only when we encounter, yeah, some of the other challenges that we face in this lifetime. Now that challenges can be health challenge, can be financial challenge, can be so many other things. And then we say, oh, why bad things are happening to me? Why only me? No, these are the indications that we need not get entangled having acquired this human life, but rather understand that how the human life is so precious, and then understand that how we get knowledge, yeah, approach the right person, get the knowledge, and go back to him, go back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Your classes are really special when you include so many examples of the devotees. So really good, Prabhu. Very nice.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you so much.
Devotees, do you have any question, comments? No questions, then we may end the class. Okay. Yeah, Sunita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, pranams.
Hare Krishna. Mataji.
Prabhuji, we being in the Grihastha ashrama, how can we get disgusted, Prabhuji? Until and unless we get disgusted, we can't proceed in spiritual life. But how is it possible, Prabhuji? Because we are married, we are in a married life, and we have children. We have so many desires because we need to give them good education, and we want to see them get married, and so on, so on. So how can we get into that disgusting kind of this thing, Prabhuji? That feeling.
Are you referring to the word disgusting?
Yes, Prabhuji, because I don't understand because how exactly we get to that position, Prabhuji, disgusted, that position, disgusted feeling.
So are you trying to say, Mataji, that you're quite happy with the current, I mean, whatever it is right now?
No, Prabhuji, but actually there is a responsibility on our shoulders now, Prabhuji.
Okay.
So how can, yeah.
Okay. So Mataji, first and foremost, our spiritual teachings or the knowledge that we acquire or the practice that we do, never ever we say that we have to shy away from our responsibility. No. We have to fulfill all the responsibility. For example, if you are a wife, you have to fulfill your duty towards your husband, towards your children, towards your house. Similarly, the husband, they have to fulfill their duty. The dharma that we have to first and foremost is to fulfill that. Yeah. Now, how do we fulfill our spiritual desire and at the same time, maintain our material life? The Prabhupada very beautifully gives an example that the material life and the spiritual life, it's like a two parallel lines. Yeah. The railway line, you see, you have two parallel lines. It has to go in parallel. Yeah. If anything goes wrong, the train will get derailed. So we have a certain material life that as an obligation we have to fulfill, and the spiritual life, knowing the importance of our spiritual life, we need to fulfill that as well. Remember a vehicle, motor vehicle. Yeah. There is a motor vehicle and there's a driver who's sitting inside the motor vehicle. Now the fuel for both of them is different. Now, if we interchange the fuel, both of them will not work. Meaning, if you put the petrol for the driver who's sitting inside the car, and if you put the food that the driver is consuming, put it inside the vehicle, that is not going to run. Yeah. So the motor vehicle requires a petrol. The driver who's sitting inside the vehicle also needs a food, so that both of them can perform together and can reach the journey. So similarly, the soul, yeah, it's in a constant need of a fuel, which is the Harinam. Yeah, the soul always require the association of the devotees. So being in Grahastha life, in fact, Prabhupada has stated also that Grahasthas are the greatest sannyasis. Yeah. Why? Because it's only the Grahastha ashram that has got so many responsibilities. But if you see the brahmachari or the sannyasis, yeah, they are in a very conducive environment. They're always amongst the devotee. They're always in the temple. They're always 24/7 in a spiritual environment. But just imagine about the grahastha ashram, where the husband has to go and work, or sometimes even the wife is going and working outside, always interacting with the people who are outside. At the same time, fulfilling the obligations of their children's, of their responsibilities, at the same time, always also maintaining the brahmacharis and the sannyasis, and also fulfilling their spiritual life. So the Grahastha ashram is the most important ashram among all the other ashrams. Why? Because they not only fulfill their material desire, not only fulfill their own spiritual desire, but they're also taking care of the other two ashramas. So the Grahastha ashram is the most important thing. Now, the word disgusted, we have to ensure that we feel disgusted about this material world. For example, I remember Vigna Vinashak Maharaj had visited Dubai, and he was giving an example. He's saying that this material world, it's like a urinal of any Kolkata railway station. This is the example that he was giving. Just imagine how disgusting, example that he had given. He's saying this is what it is. If we consider that this material world or the place where we stay is the most beautiful one, we take pictures, we put that in Instagram, in Facebook, and then we show others that, see how beautifully, how nicely. Nothing wrong in doing that, I'm saying. But we need to understand the purpose. We are not going to be here. One reality is we are not going to be staying in this material world forever, maximum 100 years, or maybe 125 years, not beyond that. Nowadays, even that, the average lifespan has come down like anything. So what are we going to do about this? That is a reality, isn't it? We are doing the preparation. Exam is a reality. And what is that final exam? Anta kalecha mameva smaran muktva kaleman, isn't it? So are we prepared? Be it grahastha life, be it brahmachari life, be it any life. Yeah. So that's a reality, Mataji. So that reality, we have to face it, and we have to start preparing from now itself. So how do we do that? By keeping Krishna in center. So when we keep Krishna in center, especially for the Grahastha life, yeah, then our life will become peaceful. Then the shloka of the 18th shloka is applicable, that the time span will not affect the devotees. Hope I have answered your question, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, actually, as you told, being in the Grihastha life, and I'm the only one falling in in my family, Prabhuji. So as soon as the family comes, everything is related to mundane, Prabhuji. So it becomes so difficult while we are chanting, reading, or whatever we are doing. It will be with association with the God, Prabhuji. Later on, it's all with mundane things. So it is not easy. I mean, according to me, I don't feel it easier, Prabhuji. So how to stay 24/7, as told your associate is 24/7 with the Lord, Prabhuji?
Mataji, whenever I visit back in India, and now my mother stays with my brother, and unfortunately, I have to stay with my brother. Now I'm also facing the same challenge what you're facing, Mataji. So whenever I go back to India, so this is a challenge what I personally face. The only thing what we can do is we pray to the Lord that well, it's quite easy to convince outsiders or the non-family members, but preaching or convincing our own family members, especially who are distant family members, becomes quite challenging. So, because what I feel is when convincing people who are not related, yeah, they will take it seriously. But convincing uh, distant relatives, people like that, people don't tend to take you because they have a closeness with you, isn't it? So they take you for granted. So it becomes quite challenging. But my request would be sincerely pray, Lord, ensure that at least your sadhana is not, at least you keep up with your sadhana. That's very important, because if you have to say, just like uh, if you have to say someone who is drowning, so if you're not healthy enough, if you do not know how to swim, how are you going to, save other person? So if you need to save someone, you need to be an expert swimmer. Yeah. So first of all, ensure that you keep up with your sadhana very well. They are basically, undergoing their karma. So that is what the Lord. See, ultimately, if we believe that not even a blade of grass moves without the Lord's will, so if we have that understanding, then keeping that understanding in the mind, we can only pray to the Lord that some sadbuddhi can be given to them, and but at the same time, never forget about your dharma. Yeah, as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter. So that is also primarily important, because Prabhupada, in his various quotes, and in his various uh, if you read all about his pastimes, many devotees who had challenges, especially in the marriage life, when they had challenges, Prabhupada said, fulfill your dharma first. Yeah. So in whichever position you are in, that dharma is the priority. At the same time, ensure that your spiritual practice is also not compromised. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, as you said, our dharma
Shanti
is
Mataji, Hare Krishna. Sorry to interrupt you, Mataji. Medami Mataji is waiting. So, can we take...
related to this only, Mataji.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, as you said, the dharma of the Grihastha is to make the family bring into Krishna consciousness, Prabhuji. So, but being for a long time not in the spiritual thing, Prabhuji, so it is not easier to tell them or bring Krishna in the making Krishna as the center in the house, Prabhuji. So, how can we? So, whatever we say, they'll
Your
not
primary
listen to
dharma.
us.
Mataji, you have to see, you being a wife, your primary dharma is to take care of your husband, take care of children, take care of your mother-in-law. That's your primary dharma. So that's what you have to ensure that your family members are happy. At the same time, you ensure that your spiritual life is maintained. Yeah, that's your primary dharma. Then preaching them and to make them devotees is your secondary dharma.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Medami Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji, for the opportunity. Thank you so much, Vinay Mukunda Prabhu. Very wonderful sessions. Always your sessions are very enlightening with nice live examples. So, Prabhuji, today is my daughter's birthday. So I am actually, planning, to take the blessings of all the devotees whom I know, to somehow bless her, because she's given her 12th board exams and she wants to do this, that, everything. And this is the age in which so many things are opening up, and I'm also a little guilty that I have given her a very closed Krishna conscious environment. She's been going to Gopal's Garden High School, so it is Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And now sometimes I also feel that I have not given her a proper balance. I've not taken her to Bollywood movies, and when she went to Allen for the 11th standard, she was thinking, what are everybody talking? I'm not interested. They are seeing videos and laughing. And then I thought, I should prepare her. And then I used to send because I cannot sit through a 3-hour movie. I used to send both my daughters. My younger daughter is in the 10th now. So I used to send with my sisters. My sister, she has two daughters. I used to send with her children when they go for watching a movie. Incidentally, they moved to Mumbai from Pune. So since she's also in Mumbai, I thought this opportunity that whenever you go for a movie or something, tell me. I will send Dhanya and Daita also. So in this way, when I send them, the younger one fell asleep and the elder one was saying, "Ayo, so much violence. What? How can they sit and watch this for 3 hours?" And I said, "Okay, fine. If you're not interested, you leave it." But the problem is, Prabhu, you're not able to adapt. They feel secluded, they feel a little left out. And especially, until 10th, she was doing very well in her exams. Like, she was a topper. So, people used to ask her doubts and all that. So 11th is a totally different ball game, 11th, 12th, and ITJ, where you're competing with almost everybody are best from each of those schools. So her confidence level in terms of her academics, she's telling me, Mama, the one thing I was good at, which is my academics, that is falling. That is so, like somehow I feel that I have not given her a grounded, a balanced view, because I've given her Krishna consciousness and academics, and that has been her life. So now with the change of environment, there is, she used to chant 10 rounds, but now it is reduced to 2 rounds, some days no rounds. So I tell her, Ekadashi, at least you do 1 round. And then now I tell her, I've given you the roots, right? Now you have the wings. You're an adult today onwards. Take your decisions and, just go ahead, like that. So I have given her the wings, and the younger one is just following suit. She's 14, 15, so like that. So, Prabhu, I don't know. I cannot change the past for sure. But what are the things that I can do as a mother? I have I know that I have not given them a balance that you were talking about today. And you answered this Mataji's question also, right? As a mother, your duty is first towards your husband and your children. Somewhere, since Prabhuji is also devotee, it was happening very naturally. I never had to force them. These children have been doing Mangalarti right from their first standard till the 10th standard. And in the 11th and 12th, when they are not doing it, and she's saying, Mama, there is no school today. Why I should wake up at 5:30? Then now I also think that, I have done it for 10 years. I have woken them up because the school was at 7 o'clock also. That was also facilitating because I have to leave early also. So I'm just giving you a background, Prabhu, just to tell you that I did not force them. That much I am clear in my conscience. I did not force them to take up this path, but it was natural. And every Sunday, they have sat with me from 4:30 to 10:30, Sunday feast, until the Bhagavatam class was over. And now they tell me, earlier you have done enough. You have taken me enough to the temple. Now, let me, whenever I give them a choice now, they prefer not to come, Prabhu. And I don't, our Gauranitai was being, Pushpa Abhishek was being done in a Kandivali, very nearby school. My younger daughter came, my elder daughter said, no, I have an exam, I have to study. Right? I know how much she is going to sit at home and study, but she was very clear. So, Prabhu, this is a scenario. And now I also have learned that I'm not going to force them, right? Now she's an adult, she'll take her choice. Until 24, even I was watching every Friday, I used to go for a movie. I was also like that. So, I thought that, no, let her take a decision now, right? When I took a decision for myself, let her take a decision. All that is very much in the head, Prabhu. All that is understandable. All senior devotees are also telling me, you've given them good foundation. No, leave her. She will come back. Even if she wants to explore, let her come back. Very, very nice, Prabhu. All going very well in my head. But in my heart, I'm thinking, what can I do, Prabhu? What can I do? She's practiced for 10 years. And now she's saying, I'll practice Ekadashi. I will practice Bhishma Panchaka also. You made me do Bhishma Panchaka also, 5 days fasting. But chanting she's not doing, Prabhu. Kindly help, Prabhu.
Is she there now? Is she there now? Is she in the group now? Is she there in this forum?
No, she's not there, Prabhu.
She's not there. Okay. Maybe recording is there.
No,
so maybe...
if she was there, I would rather not speak like this. Then, she tells me that, you tell about me to everybody you ask. So I'm the problem for you. You want to ask everybody how, how this to be done. Then I tell that, because I have done a mistake, I have to find out how I should rectify the mistake, right? So only if I ask, I'll know. Like that. Yes, Prabhu.
First of all, Mataji, you gave her a higher test right from your childhood. Now, because she
but Prabhu, it doesn't seem like, Prabhu. It doesn't seem like... because...
Let me complete. So because you gave her a higher test, so when you wanted her to balance the material life, so obviously, it's like oil and water. It will never get mixed together because you gave her, pure life. So obviously, when she started encountering the material life, she was not able to adjust it. Now, our senses are very, very sensitive. Yeah, because the 3 modes of material nature, they're very subtle, and we will not realize. And our senses will capture, because we are made up like that. Yeah. The moment we start interacting, and that's one of the reasons why the Gurukul was established. Because like Prahlad Maharaj, yeah, at the age of what, 5 years, he was given Krishna consciousness. So very, very important that, right from the childhood, we have to instill that. Now, people generally have the tendency that, okay, my child, has been given a spiritual education only. Now, when they grow big, when they're going to encounter the real material life, how are they going to face challenge? Because obviously, whatever they have learned, the spiritual knowledge, that they will not be able to apply in their material education or in their material life. So that was a big, big challenge. Now, one is sometimes we take an emotional decision and we because we haven't got that spiritual environment in our childhood days. Obviously we try to put that onto our children, and then when they encounter this, then we are at the crossroad as to what should be done. So obviously you gave them a beautiful and a very good spiritual life during the childhood, but obviously when they grew up, so to keep up with the pace of the material world, so obviously you introduce them to the material enjoyment. So obviously now they got already, imbibed. So it is slightly difficult for them to, but the only way now, you can't beat them, you can't shout them, you cannot do anything. It's too late for you to do all of that. The only way is to make them sit and understand the value. I'll give you my personal example. Now, especially my elder son, Nupur Mataji knows, my elder son, Sanjay, and he has given classes also in ICF. Now, I wouldn't say we have given him enough spiritual. Of course, we gave him material education, but he was always interested in the spiritual knowledge. Now, I was of the opinion that, and he, in fact, when he was almost 7 years old, no, when he was 11 years old, Bhanuswami Maharaj had visited Dubai, and he was sitting right in front in the hall, and he stood up and he asked the question to Bhanuswami Maharaj, His Holiness Bhanuswami Maharaj, asking that, at what age can I take initiation? Now, I was stunned. To be very honest, I was scared, because I did not wanted him to take any emotional decision, because it was too early for him. And while my wife was quite encouraging and she wanted him to go ahead, I said, no way, it is too early, because I did not wanted him to come at a stage and then regret. Yeah. So I ensured that a balanced life had to be given, ensuring that his spiritual life is not compromised. At the same time, when he come to an age of a proper understanding, then he realized he uses his material skills to apply his material, because ultimately we cannot commit a suicide that, okay, we have come into the world, so let me commit suicide, because anyway, no point in staying in this material. No, we can't do that. We have to, we have to walk this journey at any cost. But when we walk this journey, we have to ensure that our spiritual life is, upheld. At the same time, we walk by, because if you have to walk that journey, material life, we can only walk that journey if we have a proper material life. So he decided to take up a pilot course. Now, today he's a pilot. Now, when he was taking a pilot course, many devotees advised against, saying that, it's a glamorous life, just like a film industry. It's quite glamorous life. Then I asked him, I said, you're getting into an industry which is so glamorous. How are you going to ensure that your spiritual life is not compromised? He said one thing. He said, if you have faith in me, I will ensure that my spiritual life is not compromised. Today he's 23 years old, and the flight that he takes every time, he doesn't get any vegetarian food. What he does, he will eat from home, full prasadam, and he will not eat. During Ekadashi, he doesn't eat even doesn't even drink water. During Ekadashi, he is nirjal generally. Now, why I'm giving this example, that even though he's having a glamorous, industry, yet he's untouched as of now. So maybe you can give this example to your daughter. Maybe I can ask my son to talk to her. He can guide her, because see, at this, parents giving counseling is not going to help. Devotees giving counseling is not going to help. Someone at her age, especially of someone who is in is in such industry, whom she can think, yeah, he can guide me. Maybe he can guide her. That would be my recommendation, Mataji. And some tips can be given. He can give out some tips to her as to why this spiritual life is very, very important. Sometimes he has such an odd hours of flying, and sometimes he's not able to chant during daytime. So even if he comes night at 2 o'clock, he will sit, chant his 16 rounds, and then he will go to sleep. So I'm not talking great about him, but what I'm saying is, yes, this is for every parent. I'm telling that balanced life is a must. Yeah, do not take any emotional decision, please. It's a public forum, so I'm a bit scared also, because no one should quote me. But I'm giving out my personal experience. So giving a balanced life is very, very important. Understanding the kind of age that we are in, the kind of social media that is so powerful nowadays. Because earlier in our days, we didn't have so much of information that was being poured. But now information is, poured into us, even though it is not required. So they get information at the tip of the button. So we have to be extremely careful. And we have to be very, very sensitive, especially with our children, because the Western culture is catching up very soon with all the children, including devotees. So we have to be extremely careful with that, Mataji. This is what I can suggest to you, Mataji. The best what I can do is I can ask my son to speak to your daughter. Maybe he can offer some guidelines, and being in the same age group, probably he can guide her very well. He can give his life experiences. So obviously she can appreciate that, and then probably some change can happen. That's what I can do, Mataji.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Very inspired, Prabhu. I was just reminded, His Holiness Bhanuswami Maharaj actually did for both of them the Annaprashna ceremony, and also he gives the first letter. And then we used to write to Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj saying, from this letter we need some names, and all that was happening so nicely, Prabhu. But at the crucial time of life, when it's likely that she wants to do IIT Chennai, she wants to do a
Mataji,
particular
Haribol
course.
Krishna.
Yeah,
Mataji,
yes.
Mataji
Sorry,
has
Mataji.
question.
Sure.
I don't want to
sorry.
disappoint her, and we only have not even 1 minute. Okay, Shruti Mataji, you can.
I'm so sorry. Haribol. Yeah, I became emotional. Sorry, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Sorry, Mataji.
No, it's fine, Mataji. Shruti Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice to hear that the practical points, and basically the last two questions relate to me very well. I have two small kids. They are like 5 and will turn 3, so 3 and 5-year-olds. And I have been brought up in a Krishna conscious family. My parents are disciples of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj, and I have also taken Guru Ashray. However, I'm married in a family who is Krishna conscious, but Pushti Margi. So they are not very strong followers, I would say. They are strong in their way, but at some point that makes a difference. And we always hear that sadhu sangha is very much important for devotional service and going ahead in spiritual life. However, right now I am not able to get that association at all. Like, it's very difficult for me to go even to the temple. I'm staying at Ahmedabad right now, but it's very difficult for me to even go to the temple on a regular basis. Yeah, once a while, and that's just like a picnic visit, taking darshan and staying in the kirtan for some time and then coming back. But I have not been able to make my children even sit in a class, which I have got, but I'm not able to give it to them. I'm doing it at my end at home at some level, but definitely I feel that that's not enough. Can you, Prabhuji, can you guide what I can do that can keep me also afloat in my sadhana? Because we also, like, as a family, young husband, wife, and young.
Mataji, it's already 11:02. There is a
Sorry.
time for next class. So,
Okay.
Prabhu, can you
Prabhuji,
can you send us the written answer for Mataji, please, Prabhu?
Into
Yeah,
that's fine.
I can do that.
Yeah, please. Sorry,
I can
Prabhu,
do
but because it's already 11:02,
Yeah,
and
yeah, no
the next
no
class
problem.
people, they are waiting. Hare
problem.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Vancha
Thank you.
kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha Ji, I will forward you the answer. Sorry, Mataji. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Pranam.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Thank you, Mataji.
enlightening
Hare
Thank
answers,
you,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Shall I
Hare
end the
Krishna.